even more important, this is not a happy hour, is it? Actually looking at the facts of benefits crackdowns and living in such circumstances. But the government is actually there's some good news. If you are one of the 4% of estates eligible for inheritance tax, set perhaps to rise to 7% this year. It was 4% in 2020, 2021. Then Jeremy Hunt is poised to halve the rate of your inheritance tax. So the tax you pay on wealth that is being passed on to heirs will be cut at the same time that they announce a benefits crackdown. Now, I mean, people have been sharing very personal information with me today. This is the sort of story that reminds me that this government is constantly trying to give me money while take it away from people like Natasha and Claire and Kira. And I find it very hard to understand. This government, every time there's a budget, Liz Truss's thing, I did the sums on that. Liz Truss's thing was like 3 melons coming up on a fruit machine for me. Constantly trying to give me money. Jeremy Hunt, constantly trying to give me money. Kwasi Kwarteng, writing me cheques. Rishi Sunak, handing me cash. And taking it away in the same breath, on the same day, in the same news cycle. From people like Natasha, Kira and Claire. It's a funny old world, isn't it? I wonder if you can make sense of it. Alex is in Reigate. Alex, is it workable? Could it work?
No.
Oh.
In a simple word, no.
Go on,
no.
Tell me more.
I can tell you that from experience on being on the other side, should I say, or the dark side. Like from my caseload, the people that they're after are a tiny, minuscule percentage. I'd probably be able to just give them the money out of my own pocket and they wouldn't even notice.
Right. You mean people who actively choose to live on the pittance that the state provides and make no effort to find a job? That is really the constituency of people that we're talking about here.
Exactly.
And no one's suggesting that they don't exist at all, but the idea that they exist on a scale sufficient to justify government policies and tabloid rage is ridiculous.
Yeah, put it this way, it would be like trying to find a flea on a postage stamp. You would not be able to see it.
Okay. So I've never heard that figure of speech before. Go on.
Yeah, well,
so how would but tell me more about the sort of enforcement or how this kind of thing would work, because that's the line you were in. I think that's
correct. Say like Claire and her sanctions earlier. Normally, when the sanctions come about, there are tier levels. So you'd start off like a percentage of whatever they earn on the first instance.
Yeah.
Then it would go up by half again.
Yeah.
To whatever, it's almost like 50% would be like the third time, and then the fourth time you would literally lose all of your benefits. So you're then expected. Like I've had client, a young lady. She was about a teenager.
Yeah.
She got to because I would just as a work coach just assume she was one of these people that just have no interest in coming in and making the appointments. We'd write out the claimant commitment. And this is the contract for the receipt of benefits,
Okay, yes, I understand.
The agreement. And it turned out the reason why she was missing appointments is because she was caring for a parent. Nobody knew. And she felt too embarrassed to say that.
That's like the Tracy Chapman song, Fast Car, isn't it? Actually, almost the same plot. Yeah. Remarkable.
Yeah, so she lost all of her money. She wasn't even living at home. She was living in one of these shared accommodations. I don't know if I can mention who they are.
No, but whatever you're comfortable doing. But then she's going back to the family home to look after a parent.
Exactly that.
Because no one else was doing so.
That's it. So technically she could have got carer's allowance had she... But she was trying to do the right thing, try to go to school, try to come back... do everything that she would turn up at appointments. Okay, she couldn't have got to all the workshops because that was time that she had to go and spend to look after the parent at home.
Days.
And then she didn't turn up, and then the system automatically goes, well, you didn't turn up, this is your claimant commitment. That would get thrown in her face. And there wasn't any discretion there because the new rules for work coaches is that you also have a case manager that will then look at it. But when a case manager looks at it, they look at what the case, the claimant agreement was, what the law says, and that's about it. There isn't too much for them to move on, and they will act upon it. It's only by chance that me being the person that I am, I walked along my high street and then I saw her with her, and then I was like, oh, blah, 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 how are you? How come didn't you make your appointment? And then she sort of like said, oh, well, I was looking after my mum. And I was like, well, how come you hadn't mentioned this before? And there are loads of people, both young and old, that are in that same situation, and now they're going to get caught out by this trap. I will call it a trap because that's what it is, and it's not going to be affecting those people, as I say, the flea on the postage stamp, that are sitting at home not doing anything.
So here's the thing.
It.
Here's the thing that you know, but some people listening won't. At present, people who refuse to take a job. So even the choice of language in a normally sober newspaper like the Times, it's refuse to take a job rather than people who can't. But they refuse to take a job or attend interviews and coaching can have their benefits docked. That's the young lady you're talking about.
Yep.
But ministers want to go further and shut benefit claims entirely if people have been disengaged for 6 months. So the word disengaged is in quotes, it's their words. So they reckon tens of thousands of people would lose all their benefits, but also other state services where eligibility is linked to receipt of benefits. What happens to those people, Alex?
It's really hard to understand. It's like one of your earlier callers said, like if they lose the like the free prescriptions, for example, and they need that just to sort of for their day-to-day living, or even to apply for jobs, like especially with anxiety and depression. I know there's some people that use it as an excuse, but for those that actually need the medicine and they're going there and they're going, all it's going to do is now, once they've got no money to now go and pay for that medication, and then they're just going to be turning up at the NHS in A&E, and someone was saying like it costs like £100 and something every time they go in there, and so it's just going to push the cost up more than the benefit they get.
What's extraordinary is that this is built entirely, this sort of rhetoric, because I hope it doesn't qualify as policy. I can't see how it could, but this sort of rhetoric is built entirely upon the belief, I think, or certainly upon the impression, trying to give the deliberate impression that everybody is swinging the lead. Everybody is taking the mick. And yet the reality is that even if a few people are, the massive majority are not. And yet all of this targeting is built upon the notion that they're all swinging the lead, isn't it? It's the only way you can make sense of it. They just think all of these people must be choosing to live on tuppence halfpenny a week in cold, hungry circumstances. I always remember the wife of a teacher in Cromer. I don't know if you were listening that day, telling me about her children's indoor coats, the coats they wear indoors so that they can put another coat on when they go outdoors and it will provide them with a little bit more protection from the cold. People like Jeremy Hunt or Mel Stride or Rishi Sunak and the rest of them, they think that all of these people are choosing to live like that and would live differently if only the government was a bit meaner to them.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And like some people need to realise that everybody is almost one pay slip away from having to require benefits.
Yeah.
You know, and as civil servants, we just do the bidding of the people that are in power. I mean, I'll just say, talking to my colleagues, we'll be holding our head in shame and thinking, oh God, whatever next.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you've got to do it.
But we've got to do it because
you've got to enforce the sanctions because that's your job, and if you don't, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, I get in trouble all the time because I'm that sort of person. Like when I went and helped this young girl, I got all her money back. You know what I mean? Obviously, didn't get any interest, but after the situation was explained, yes, I did get a bit of a telling off, but it was a justifiable cause.
She would be entirely in this category. She would have been disengaged for 6 months, and therefore, I mean, the bit I don't get, and I'm almost frightened to ask you, is. I mean, if someone does end up caught in those claws, what do they do for money?
I would say they don't care, but it's not the DWP and the employees at that because you know what I mean? We would happily like just get, as I say, give the money out of our own pocket.
No, but if I end up caught in that, between that sort of Scylla and Charybdis of bureaucracy and policy, and you remove all my benefits, what do I buy my tea with that night?
It's not. It's literally a case of like you're going to have to go to a soup kitchen or something, turn up with all the homeless that are out there. You know what I mean? It's a horrible, horrible thought, but it's like there's only so much we can do.
I know
because
that. I'm not having a go at you. I'm not having a go.
James, it's honestly heartbreaking. And you know what's coming, and you can see it, and you're looking at these people. I mean, like, say, like during the pandemic, there was people that got made redundant and things like that, and they all came onto the benefit system in their thousands. And it was just, people literally were crying down the phone saying how sorry they felt. This is stuff that you've paid into. You don't need to ask. It's yours. You're entitled to it. Okay, there are some people that may have had disabilities all their life and they might not be able. But somebody's been putting that. I've been putting that money aside in the pot, ready for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's not for me or for anybody in politics to sort of like say you can. Oh no, they're not doing anything. Let's take it away. No, you don't have that right to do that.